Welcome, everybody. I want to start today with something that's really interesting, but not super surprising, which is that the United States coronavirus vaccination map looks just like the 2020 presidential election results map. If you want to predict which states voted for Trump, look at the states that aren't really getting vaccinated at the higher rates in the country. If you want to predict which states are getting vaccinated, look at the list of states where Joe Biden got more of a share of the vote relative to Donald Trump. And it's actually incredible how accurately this can predict vaccination. If you look at the top 25 states in terms of what portion of the population has been vaccinated, Joe Biden won 21 of those 25 states in the 2020 election. When you look at the bottom 25 states in terms of vaccination rate, Donald Trump won 21 of those 25 states, including 16 of the worst 17 states when it comes to vaccination. The correlation between vaccination rate and the 2020 election outcome by state has strengthened over time. And that's another important thing to consider. We've talked about how anti-vaccine sentiment has declined over time, even among Republicans. Like, for example, last month, 43% of Republicans didn't want the vaccine. This month, only 41% of Republicans don't want the vaccine. Even within that, if you are a Republican in a blue state, you are far more likely to want a vaccine than if you are a Republican in a red state. Now, in addition to this, there's a big urban-rural divide when it comes to vaccination, just like there's an urban-rural divide in Trump versus Biden. But let's put some visuals to this for people who are watching us today. Check out some of these images from acasignups.net. This is a chart of vaccination rate versus Trump support at the state level. And you see that the numbers are arranged along a diagonal line. To the right, it is a higher Trump vote, and you see a lower vaccination rate. It's just a perfect plot. To the left is a higher Biden vote, and you see much higher vaccination rates. Now, you could say, hold on a second, David. Hold on, sir. States vary in population. You have really big blue states, you have some really small red states. So if you just look at states, that could be deceptive. It might not really give us an accurate picture of this. The second image here from acasignups.net is county by county. And similarly, although you have more outliers, like there are some blue counties where very few people want to get vaccinated. I would love to know where those are, but it's basically the same pattern. Higher Trump vote, lower vaccination, higher Biden vote, higher vaccination. And it only requires thinking back to the last, 15, 16 months to understand what's going on here. If you have been told for a year by your fearless leader, this isn't serious, this is like the flu, 15 cases will soon be zero. We don't need masks. We don't need to close. We need kids in schools. You might get the sense that you don't really need a vaccine and thus you aren't going to go and get yourself one. Trump said it would be gone in April, last April of April, not 1 month ago, 13 months ago. Why would you need a vaccine for that? But the real tragedy here is that politicizing the tax rate, politicizing debt and deficit, that's one thing. If something that is simply a public health measure that saves lives, like a vaccination that is 90+% effective, if that can fall into the same political traps, the same political games, then quite literally anything can. And that's a horrifying reality to have to accept. There are Trumpists now posting to social media like a badge of honor that they have not and they will not get vaccinated, and the government's not going to tread on them and force them to get vaccinated. Well, yeah, no, the government's not going to force you to do it. Of course, we know that. But they are wearing this lack of vaccination as a badge of honor now. So at the end of the day, Trump's politicization of the pandemic continues. Trump's gone, but it will continue to cause deaths, American deaths, due to this anti-vaccine sentiment. And increasingly, because of this partisan split, Trump's mishandling and propagandizing around the pandemic will lead to more Republican deaths than Democratic deaths, as we have increasingly. I mean, there are blue states that are at 70% vaccinated already. That's essentially herd immunity. Cases are going to zero almost statistically. Not literally zero, statistical zero, where you get down to a number that, the rate of reproduction is extremely low. This is an incredible situation because it is going to take on an incredible partisan divide as we go forward with red state and Republican clusters of the virus. It's a horrible thing. And I don't care what your partisan identification is. I don't want anybody to die. I don't want anybody to get sick. And we are very quickly seeing an incredible red-blue divide happening when it comes to vaccination. One of our sponsors today is COVID Rescue Fund. COVID Rescue Fund is helping small business owners who have lost their businesses during COVID. There are over 100,000 small businesses that have had to close their doors since the pandemic began. There are many organizations out there helping businesses who are still open to stay afloat, but COVID Rescue Fund is one of the few organizations working to help businesses reopen who have had to close. COVID Rescue Fund crowdsources funds to provide grants up to $100,000 for these owners to create new businesses. I would implore anyone in my audience to help COVID Rescue Fund in their mission by donating at covidrescuefund.org. All money that you give is going to the mission, not to compensating people who work for the organization. The founders of COVID Rescue Fund are big fans of the David Pakman Show. Let's help them bring back as many small businesses as we can. The link is right underneath this video.